So a week ago, I was like surfing through my Twitter feed. I came across this video by the anonymous hacker group. They posted a video shortly after the police brutality in America. And I think most of our viewers have watched this video.
This is a message from Anonymous to the Minneapolis Police Department. These officers must face criminal charges, and Officer Chauvin especially should face murder charges. Unfortunately, we do not trust your corrupt organization to carry out justice, so we will be exposing your many crimes to the world. We are Legion. Expect us.
For those who don't know who the anonymous hacker group are, they're a hacktivist organization. These people hack everyone from organizations to government agencies. They've hacked the big players like Sony, PayPal and Visa. And they've been named as like one of the most influential people in the world in 2012 by Times.
Wow, like I think this is a topic that interests me a lot. Like I've been watching The Anonymous like I would say kind of closely over the last 10 years or so, because they've been just popping up on Twitter, on Instagram, everywhere, and as you mentioned, Anonymous is this notorious hacker group. They've managed to hack everyone from government organizations. They've hacked the US government services. They've hacked Israeli government services. They've hacked big firms. They've hacked big firms like PayPal, MasterCard. They've hacked Sony. And these are all organizations like PayPal and MasterCard. They're all organizations where you expect really, really tight security. Yet, I think they've just been able to surpass them. And I think I want to concentrate on, like, just tell you the story about Sony a bit more, because I think most of us relate to it. Most of us teenagers relate to it, right? And so this happened around 2011. I remember I was playing with either you or another one of my neighbors. We were playing on the PS3 or something like that. And, well, like the PSN servers went off. The PlayStation Network servers went off. And let me start off with the beginning of the story, right? So it started off with this one person by the name of George Hatz. George Hatz, super smart guy. I think he was in his teens or like 20 years old or something. He managed to jailbreak the PS3. And he put the code for the jailbreak on a online server for everyone to access. And naturally, Sony was just like really, really frustrated by this, and they decided to sue Hatz, right? Not only did they decide to sue Hatz, they also sort of started a court case, which they won, on gaining personal information of the IP addresses of every individual that accessed Hatz's website to jailbreak the PS3. So this is where Anonymous sort of just hopped in. Anonymous said, no, it's just not okay for Sony to get this personal information on the IP addresses of every individual. And, well, Anonymous was really, really frustrated, to the extent that they hacked Sony, gained access to 70 plus million of Sony's users, the PSN users. They gained information like all personal information, financial information. They gained like debit card, credit card information. And yeah, I mean, it's basically, as I said to you, like Sony had to shut down their PSN services for a period of, I don't know, like a few weeks. And they actually called in the FBI to, well, I guess deal with the situation. So that just shows how much of an influence Anonymous had over, I guess, any sort of organization,
Super interesting.
There's one more controversial topic like I want to talk to you about. Like Anonymous picks fight with almost everyone. Like there's a reason for them to do it. So they didn't pick a fight with like Los Zetas. Okay, Los Zetas is a Mexican cartel. So Los Zetas like kidnapped one of their hackers. And
the anonymous hackers.
Anonymous hackers, and tortured him for a long time.
Right.
So when the anonymous hackers found out about this, they threatened to like release information about the Los Zetas.
About the cartel.
About the cartel.
Right.
So Los Zetas couldn't afford to like, obviously they're hiding. They don't want to be exposed, right?
Right.
So they thought the best thing to do is like counter hack Anonymous.
Right. So they hired hackers to
hackers to hack Anonymous.
Yeah, it's just like a to and fro thing. Okay, yeah.
It was a failed stunt.
Yeah.
So they had to come in terms with Anonymous right now.
Right.
So Anonymous started releasing some information about them. Government organizations to taxi drivers were taken down by the officials there.
Of the cartels.
Yeah, of the cartel.
Okay, yeah.
So now cartel had to back out.
Yeah.
So some of the members of the cartel wanted to retaliate.
Of course, yeah.
At this point in time, the cartel was under a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So they just released the guy, the hacker from Anonymous.
From Anonymous, right.
But I feel like Anonymous should have stopped here.
Right.
But they didn't.
Okay.
They went a step further
Right.
and kept on releasing information.
Yeah, okay.
The cartel thought about manipulating people now.
Yeah, right.
Like they put up a video where they said they would kill the citizen if Anonymous didn't stop hacking them.
Which citizen? Just random citizen?
Yeah, just the random citizen.
Okay.
So Anonymous backed out like permanently from this
Yeah,
situation.
that's
Super interesting. I think, like, obviously that shows where was this cartel based?
Mexican.
A Mexican cartel. That just shows, like, obviously we know Anonymous for being notorious in America, and notorious with government institutions or like firms like Sony, etc., etc. But this shows that as an organization, they can target anyone. They're targeting a cartel in Mexico and they're playing around with them, and that just shows like the sort of dominance that Anonymous has. Yeah, so found that super interesting.
Like the questions I've seen a lot on Twitter is how do you get into Anonymous? Is there a process to get in there? So what's your say on it?
Yeah, I think that's a
Super interesting question. How does one get into Anonymous? There's not really a process that one undertakes to get into Anonymous, because Anonymous is not an organization. It's basically something that has no face, right? And there's no sort of hacker boot camp that someone goes through in order to get into Anonymous. And the way that people sort of get, I think, affiliated with Anonymous is, let's say a hacker carries out a particular hack. What they essentially do is they create an alias, right? And it's a label. So they create an alias on Facebook or Twitter. They carry out a hack and they attribute it towards being an anonymous hack. So they attribute it towards the Anonymous Legion. And yeah, I think this is super interesting, because the process that generally happens, as we saw like in the Minnesota case, Anonymous actually came public, right? So in that scenario, lots of anonymous hackers actually came together with a similar interest, and they were somehow able to communicate with each other and release a public video. And that's a question I sort of researched a bit, like how are these individuals from all across the world, how are they able to come together under an alliance, an anonymous alliance, and communicate with one another and release this video? This is a question I didn't really find an answer to, so maybe our viewers can like provide an answer to that. How do they actually communicate and release to a public a video? Because at the end of the day, they're just individuals who are all, doing one hack here. So how have they come together in various scenarios in order to make this possible?
Systematic.
Yeah, it's super systematic, and obviously there's no WhatsApp group that suddenly if you join the Anonymous like they have a WhatsApp. It doesn't work like that, obviously, because they would be traced. So another thing like that I sort of found a little bit interesting is to do with the point I made earlier, is the fact that anyone can go under this anonymous label. And I know for a fact that there have been several scenarios where individuals have gone under the anonymous label. They've committed a particular hack, and they've been caught by the FBI and they've been arrested. So I wouldn't really say that it's advisable for any random person to just go and join.
Part of it.
Just be a part of Anonymous,
So there was this case in the Middle East, okay?
Yeah.
So they took one guy in. So what this guy usually used to do was retweet everything the Anonymous posted on their Twitter page.
Yeah.
So that the officials questioned him, drilled him for a few days.
Yeah. Thinking that he was a part of Anonymous.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
So they let him go after a few days.
Yeah.
And this guy came out
Yeah.
and tweeted,
Yeah.
I couldn't pass my 7th grade exams,
Yeah.
and they think I'm part of Anonymous.
Yeah, it's just it's just really funny because even if you show a little bit of a hint that you're a part of Anonymous, like it's just
That's how paranoid the government is right now.
yeah. So you obviously have to be a master hacker, and there is some sequence to join the Anonymous, but I don't know. I really can't pinpoint what that sequence is.
So, with all the information that we've gathered, right? So this leads to my final question. Is Anonymous a good or bad thing for us?
You mean as in general, like for society, being a society member is anonymous, good or bad? I think this is a super interesting question, and there are definitely both good and bad factors for anonymous existing. Let me just, I guess, like run through them and recap on what we did. So obviously, we've seen quite a few of the incidents where Anonymous has supported certain causes. For example, they supported against police brutality in the US, clearly. And they clearly supported against, I think they took out of quite a few child pornography websites. So I think this is a clear indication of the fact that Anonymous is there to do at least some good. But at the same time, there were a lot of, I guess, negative engagements that Anonymous had. And this, I guess, could be underpinned by the PlayStation Network discussion that we had, where they literally had information on 70 plus million profiles, which I find a little bit disturbing, personal information. So what I'm trying to say is, yeah, there's basically goods and bads, right? So we've seen, basically what I've seen so far is that Anonymous is most of the time standing for good causes, which is brilliant. Like they're making an actual influence. They're putting pressure on governing bodies. They're putting pressure on the government when they make incorrect decisions. And yeah, I think they're doing a really good job in that scenario. And they're also giving a voice to minority groups. And I think that's brilliant. At the same time, would you and I as individuals be comfortable with the fact that a group of people has such an enormous amount of power, and just, I guess, with not a snap of a finger, but they can essentially gain so much personal information? This organization is basically uncontrollable. They are unpredictable, and they're also unaccountable, right? They can't, they're not held responsible for their actions. Would you and I as normal citizens be okay with a group of individuals having this much power? I think it's best we leave this as an open question for our viewers.